Well, I got to sit down one-on-one with one of those panelists, Omowale David-Ashiru, Nigerian director for the software development company Andela. And I asked her how she sees Andela's role in Africa's economy moonshot.
So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the international language of programming is English. What that means is the programming languages, the technical documentation, where you can go for question and answers, resources like Stack Overflow are all based in English. And when you think about it, 95% of the world does not have English as their native language. So that itself is sort of like a mismatch. And it's something that we also need to address. There are different ways of solving that. One of the things we've done in going to a new market, Rwanda, who is not originally English speaking, I mean, just 10 years ago they became officially English speaking, was we've had to add English level up as part of the training and developing, even before we talk about programming or coding. So that's one thing that we may need to do worldwide. Or the flip side is we may have to also start developing programming languages, resources, and all of that in our local languages. And I think that really is important if we're going to be part of the creators of the future, not just participants.
And you raise an interesting point about the need for local knowledge, because Africa has the benefit of seeing how some of the other world innovation hubs have done things, what they've done right, what they've done wrong. Obviously, a lot of issues when it comes to gender and racial diversity in the tech world. Talk about some of the ways that Africa can perhaps either use or leapfrog some of those experiences.
So I don't think we have to do what people have done before, and that's the beauty of, doing your own thing, coming in at your own pace. So for instance, the way the technology world was or started in Silicon Valley was really male dominated, and then you kind of fit in the women afterwards. We're just sort of starting. So I think those are things that we can, right from the beginning, make sure there's diversity in all of that. So I think we have a chance to chart our own course and decide how we're going to have this digital transformation, and that's exciting in itself.
And so let's also look at some of the biggest opportunities and challenges. You have Africa, the youngest continent in the world, or all the untapped potential in the world. How do we harness that and really make the most of it as we try and move into a more digital economy?
Well, there was something I said on the panel about awareness. I think awareness is really, really key. I think we take it for granted that everybody knows there's a digital revolution going on, but Africa is not a country. Africa has 54 distinct countries with different cultures, different tribes, and different issues going on. So there needs to be a lot of awareness about the role technology is going to play in getting Africa to where we want to be. That's one major thing. Then another thing is the infrastructure. And I know everybody keeps saying this, but we need to keep saying it because we have the skills, people are ready, right? We have the brilliant youths, people are ready to do stuff, but at the end of the day, we can't run away from the infrastructure. A particular story, there's a guy, and there are many of them, he didn't go to, he's not really educated. I think he barely got into secondary school. He was an artisan, an electrician, but he had a mobile phone. And it was the mobile phone and access to the internet that enabled him apply to get into Andela. And now he's a world-class software developer, earning, contributing to the GDP, and basically he's economically empowered. Now that could only happen because the infrastructure was in place, right? So we can't run away from that. We need the infrastructure to be in place. And this is where public-private partnerships and our government comes in, because this is not something that one person can do. If we're deliberate, if we're intentional, we can do it, and we can do it quickly.
And obviously we see that Africa now has its free trade area that it's in the middle of developing. How do you see that really enabling entrepreneurs to stay within the continent once they do have the skills, as opposed to seeing a brain drain if they just can't find the companies to work for?
The truth is, with technology, free trade it's cyber. You can sit down and that's the future of work. You can sit down in your home and you're working for anyone around the world. You don't need to go to a particular location. You don't need a particular zone. And that's the beauty of that. So in Andela, we have people who are working with our partners all over the world, and they're right there in their homes. So they're contributing to the economies of their country. They're earning, they're economically empowered. They're contributing to solutions around the world. They're exposed to those technologies and experiences, and because they're still in the country, they're also able to impact the local ecosystem. So for instance, some of our engineers have initiatives like the Teen Code. I like to talk about the Teen Code, where they partner with high schools all over Africa for free to teach children and teach youths how to code. So that's the beauty of, you know, the technology and the distributed work system. You can still be in your community, still make an impact, still earn and contribute to your economy, and yet you're doing things that are changing the world and your community.